period. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. Okay. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, AOA, for having us. Woohoo! Don't worry about taking notes on these slides, what we're going to do, and that way I'm available for any Q&A you might have after the fact as well. So let's get going. As Wendy said, I am Jay Reeder. Let me, there we go. There's an old picture of me. I've got hair because we had a lot to cover. And what I want to talk to you about is practical marketing. This isn't a theoretical class or seminar. This is very practical. These are tactics and I guess even techniques that we've used and that others have used for years, and they work. They're proven, they work, and I'm going to tell you stories about how they work. One thing I've learned over the years is that marketing covers a lot of mistakes in any part of your business. And I'll tell you the funniest thing is a quick story. In the early days of the internet, around 2003, I had a tech company that was launching in Atlanta, and I had a partner from Glasgow, Scotland. And we were doing SEO, and he was brand new to the whole thing, and not a whole lot of people knew about it at the time. But I had a website that was going live, and in those days, it was super easy to know when it went live. Google would actually roll out their updates on a specific day of the month. So I called him up one night, and I said, "All right, Graham, you ready?" He said, "Okay, what are we looking at?" And I explained to him, tomorrow we're going to get phone calls from all 50 states, and it's going to be, yeah. And we were selling, we had maybe 2 to 5 sales a day from the Atlanta test run that we did. I said, multiply that by 50 Super Bowl cities, and that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to go from 2 to 200 a day. And he said, "No way, that's not possible. That's crazy." I said, "Watch, you'll see." The next morning, Google rolled it out, and we were getting phone calls. So many calls came in, we couldn't take them all. The phones rang all day long. We literally unplugged the phone every night. We started hiring people for that startup, and we couldn't hire enough. Everybody we added, we thought, okay, one more person's going to do it, and it didn't do it. It just never slowed down, grew exponentially, and that was when I really figured out how cool digital marketing could be. So it changed everything about how I saw successful marketing and how to run a successful business, and we can do the same thing with our Alpaca businesses. But before we start, let's talk about what most people are struggling with. 3 out of 4 venture-backed startups fail, according to research. Anybody familiar with these kind of numbers? According to the Global Entrepreneurship Report, over half of the businesses discontinue operations because of lack of profits. Has anybody ever heard it's hard to start a business? Is the alpaca industry any different? Who here is making more money than they ever thought they could make in alpacas? Anybody? No, not yet. Okay, we're going. You're going to get there. I'm going to tell you, you're going to get there. Yeah, look, I'll tell you a quick story. My wife got to a point where she cried, "Jay, please shut it down. Just shut it down." All right. Sales are driven by marketing, and that's why those businesses went under. They didn't have the sales to drive the profits. Reasons for poor marketing that you often hear. Have you ever thought about this? I don't have time. Anybody not have time to market? Or who has all the time in the world? We all do, right? It's COVID. Don't have any money. Is that something you've heard before? I can't afford to hire a professional marketer, or I've never done that before. I don't know what I'm doing. These are a lot of things that people will often say as reasons why they can't do really well marketing. But I'm going to teach you today, we're going to talk about some easy techniques that anybody can do that's going to explode your sales. So what if you'd easily put your farm sales and marketing on overdrive for less than a cost of a cup of coffee every day? Does that sound good? All right, everybody ready? Now, are you going to do it, or are you just going to listen? We're going to go home and do this thing? Because I'm telling you, we've done these classes before, and people have soaked it in. They've committed, yes, I'm going to go, I'm going to try it, I'm going to do it. And they call me back 3 months later, and they say, "Oh, my gosh, I had no idea." What's the one in Tennessee that has some of your Surreys, Kathy? Rocking chairs one. They did really, really, really well. All right, so as soon as I text, I am, tweet, and update my status to getting right down to it, we're going to get right down to it. You guys ready? So 20 years ago, businesses succeeded based on retail storefront. Traditional marketing, that's how we did. We did advertising, we did papers, and it was all a lot like huge sales teams, and that's how you hit the market. Nowadays, though, if you can't be found on Google or Amazon, you don't exist. That's the world we live in. People are looking online for everything, and if they don't find you online, you don't exist. The pandemic's multiplied that. As far back as '09, AOBA, the predecessor to AOA, did a survey. 80% of those researching alpacas for the first time use search engines. Now, who uses a search engine to look for alpacas? Anybody? Anybody ever looked at an alpaca? Yep, just about everybody. Another study indicates 94% of B2B buyers research online for purchase decisions. And guys, honestly, nobody did anything over the last year and a half, so these are a little bit older. Those numbers are way higher now. When the new studies come out, it's going to be literally maybe 98, 99, maybe 100% of people that are online making purchase decisions. So how can we improve our online presence? This is the foundation of your digital marketing strategies, is to have a website. And so many people tell me, I would love to have a website, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to make that happen. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to get your own website very quickly and easily for around $500. So 2 options to complete that I'm presenting here. A professional website for $500 to $750. $750 is really on the high end, but one is WordPress using a Fiverr freelancer. WordPress is the world's leading web hosting platform. There's many others you can use. They're all the same. They're all very good. I'm not going to tell you got to use one versus another, but let's talk about WordPress because it's so common. It's easy to find people that know WordPress. It's easy to find people that can host WordPress. It's super simple to find designers and templates and all that kind of stuff for WordPress. What I'm going to recommend you do is go to Fiverr, and there are tons of developers around the world sitting at home, especially in COVID, that will design you a website, lay it out for you, roll it out, do everything for you. You just kind of tell them what you want. And I mean, you can do it for as little as a couple $100 to $500 to have one completely rolled out. So definitely check out Fiverr. Look at web designers. You're looking for people that have good reviews. You're looking for, you can look at, it's kind of like eBay. You can look at their ratings and their rankings and the experience other people had with them. You put the money down, and they don't actually get paid until you approve what they've done. Most of them will come with multiple like revisions or updates. So they will roll something out. They'll say, what do you think? And you're going to say, I don't like it. And they'll say, okay, let's do it again. And they'll fix it. And then finally you say, yes, that's what I want. And they go with it. So that's fantastic. WordPress is the platform we're going to talk about. You can buy templates all over the web, $50 to $75 if you want. And then you could literally have one of these Fiverr people modify it. So that kind of gives you the ability to go through and look and see a look and feel that you like, and then you roll it out. And then web hosting's cheap, domain name's cheap, pictures taken with your cell phone. Everybody got a cell phone that can take photos, right? Nowadays. And total marketing cost should be less than $677 a month, and you've got a website. Now, the website's nothing because nobody's going to know your domain name. Nobody's going to know how to get to your website. Nobody's going to be able to go through the content that you put up there. But over time, it's a flywheel. You're going to create free marketing and a little bit of paid marketing that shoots people to your website, and then that flywheel will automatically start to grow in itself, and before you know it, you can't stop it. Like over COVID, we had shut down tours at our farm, and we weren't doing any agritourism, and we had sold all the animals we wanted to sell, and we even stopped breeding during last year. And yet the calls and the emails keep coming because that flywheel's going. And we're not paying for any kind of marketing right now. It's just part of how it is. So this is super simple. If you have any questions or you need any guidance on how to do this, please feel free to email me. And I'm going to give you my email, and or call me or grab me in the hallway, and we can talk about it some more. The other way, is, oh no, here's Fiverr. Fiverr is a directory of freelancers that handle everything from project management to escrow, arbitration, communication, and the review system. They got people on here that'll do anything. You can find guys that will do your logo for you. You can find people that will design your website for you, and I've used them all. I've designed logos there. I've done flyers. We've done PowerPoint templates, web design for some of the companies that we work with, and they've all worked out really, really, really well. So, okay, option 2 for getting a website up is going to be OpenHerd. They will do a custom site with your domain name, and the current plans, it's like $240 a year for a business plan that includes a generic website using one of their templates, and $499 a year for the business plan that includes a custom design template and consulting. Again, pictures taken with your own cell phone are free, so your total cost is $511. Some tips. Here's some tips on farm website. Half of our visitors at our farm, now this is really, like I said, prior to COVID, because we discontinued tours during COVID, but half the visitors that come to our farm say they drove 3 hours or more from other states because of the website. So this is the value of having the website. They want to learn. They want to know that you're legit. They want to know that you're in the industry, and so you're going to tell some stories. You're going to use some pictures, and don't worry about making it look like this picture-perfect Hallmark farm, because nobody has that farm except maybe Kathy. All of us have, we all have real working farms, and they want to see it. They want to see the raw. They want to see the real. They want to picture themselves there. They want to put themselves on your farm and see what it looks like. And so use pictures, tell stories, talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. But that's why they're gonna read it. They're gonna be interested in it. They're gonna soak up every bit of info they can. Make it visually appealing. Help them fall in love with alpacas using pictures of your alpacas. And don't forget, they don't know a show quality alpaca versus a pet quality alpaca. They've never seen alpacas before. So to them, they're all awesome. They don't have a clue. So you know what? Grab your friendliest, cuddliest, fiber pet and put pictures of that one up there, because they're not going to be able to tell. It'll be awesome. People want to either experience or live the alpaca lifestyle. Don't forget that. That's what you want to sell. You want to really work on selling how awesome the alpaca lifestyle is. And make sure that you support mobile, because mobile is where it's at. If your website does not work on mobile, go back to the drawing board. 2/3 of smartphone users check their phone within 15 minutes of waking, and that number's higher now post-pandemic. On average, we check our phones over 150 times a day. Sometimes it feels like you do that much in an hour, right? 82% consult the phone when purchasing in-store. Again, these numbers are going to be higher when they rerun these studies. And 91% use phones for ideas when working a task, because Google knows everything, right? All right, so we're going to roll through a little bit quicker now, but the website's super important. You also want to develop quality product marketplace listings. Now, whatever marketplace that is, whether it's Craigslist or even Facebook Marketplace, or if it's OpenHerd or BreedBooks or one of these kind of sites, you want to make sure that your listings are quality. What do I mean by that? These are 2 listings I took off OpenHerd a couple of years ago. The one on the left was a legitimate listing. I think I bought that animal, actually. No, I find the listings, and I will dig in deeper, and I do a lot of EPD-based searches, and we'll talk about that later. But the one on the left actually was an animal that I bought, I think, and the one on the right was one that we sold a few years ago. But you want to make sure you have pictures. You want to make sure you've got the EPDs, because there are people that care. Certificates, histogram, description, a price. Fill it out. I mean, it takes a minute to take a picture and upload a picture, but it can make the difference between a listing you just fly by and ignore, or a listing where you're ready to dig in and buy. And it's the small details that make the difference between marketing an animal or not. So make sure and have quality listings. Half our alpaca sales came from marketplace listings. Many were purchased sight unseen, believe it or not. People would call up and say, what do you got? We would describe them, explain them. Maybe they knew the EPDs if they were going in that direction, or maybe they were looking for a pet and they said, I'll take it. There's one couple of alpacas that literally bought the alpacas. I think it was the Fleece Show 2 years ago. We drove them and met them halfway to Memphis in a grocery store parking lot. And they were looking for pets, great people. We had vetted them, talked to them a lot, almost like Zoomed them, but I don't think we actually did Zoom back then. And sight unseen, bought those alpacas. So and they're still doing great today, as a matter of fact. Make sure to provide as much detail as possible. It also helps you show up in searches, not only the marketplace searches, but Google. Google searches can link straight to one of your marketplace listings. Great photos always sell the story. Photos are mandatory. People often also won't bother if there's not a price. They don't like that tension of the negotiation, so they want to have a rough idea of where the price point starts. They don't necessarily want to call on a $1,000 animal if they're looking for a $20,000 animal, and vice versa. So please make sure to include a price. And then different, marketplace listings. Open herd cost $240. Etsy. I put in Etsy if you're doing, because we're at a fiber show, if you're selling products. And then the breed books would be free. And that's a new marketplace platform that's launching up. The third practical marketing tip, and this one I cannot overemphasize, especially if you're doing any kind of agritourism, but even if you're not doing agritourism, if you're just doing product sales, you almost want to create an event just to put it out there, because there's so many people that go to this for animals. Any kind of event marketplace. TripAdvisor is insanely successful. We're going to talk about that. And then BreedBooks has a new one coming up. TripAdvisor is the world's largest travel site. We all know that, right? The thing you don't know is that when people are on a trip, maybe you do know because we're all taking vacations this summer, right, everybody? When you go on a trip, it seems like the whole world's booked up right now. There's no cruises. I heard there's a small town, a touristy town near us. All the restaurants, the reservations are filled up for 3 years, for the next 3 years already. I mean, it's ridiculous. But when you go on a trip, the first thing you do is you load TripAdvisor. And you say, what is there fun to do around me? And it is so insanely successful. And it's so easy to game TripAdvisor right now. So the way you game TripAdvisor, you go on, you create a free listing, you write an email that includes a link to the review site or the review form for your personal listing by going to it yourself and then copying the URL and then pasting it in your email. And you write an email, and you send it to everybody you've ever met, everybody you know. You send it to your mom. You send it to your kids. You send it to your neighbors. You send this thing to your grocery store butcher. You send it to literally everybody you know, and you say, hey, you know me. Give me a good review on TripAdvisor. And they're all going to go on and give you a good review. TripAdvisor's got an algorithm. You could kind of stage it a little bit because they will block some of them. They don't let them all through. If you get a whole bunch all at the same time, the good news is a lot of people are lazy and they procrastinate, so they're going to naturally kind of stagger and drip feed those puppies in. But you want to get all these reviews you can. And I mean, from the time we started TripAdvisor, this was years ago, until we were #1 in our region was maybe 3 months. I mean, it really didn't take a whole lot. But you just keep going after it, get reviews, get reviews, get reviews. Everybody that comes to your farm for a tour, everybody's in this class, everybody you meet. If you do seminars on your farm and you have like new alpaca people come in, or people that just want to learn about alpacas and learn and do seminars, which is another great way to get leads, have them all review you. I mean, give them a card and say, please review us. Did you like the seminar today? Or you can make it part of the admission fee. We'll do a class. We just want reviews. We'll work for reviews. Who knows? But you just want to really work on getting these reviews from everybody that touches you or your farm, and it's free. And you will get more leads from TripAdvisor or other similar event marketplaces than you would from just about any paid source. And this is travelers, so this really is if you're in a town nearby, an area where people like to vacation, or if people are traveling through. If you're not, then you're going to have more success with social media marketing. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And then BreedBooks, it's a comprehensive new platform that's coming out this summer. helps farms effortlessly integrate with the digital world. Marketing automation, which means they automatically post to Facebook and stuff like that for you, to nationwide listing of marketplace events and agritourism to maximize revenue opportunities. So that's something that we got our eye on. It's coming out. It's going to be super cool. Okay, Groupon. How do I want to explain Groupon? Groupon is the solution you want to use for practical marketing if you're in a hurry. So some of the things we're talking about today take a little bit of time to develop, a little bit of time to build. I mean, from the time you start thinking about doing a website until it's out there and published, it's going to be, even if you use Fiverr people and everything else, realistically, you're talking a few months, right? TripAdvisor is going to take a few months to build up the reviews to where you're ranking high. But if you want to just turn on the spigot overnight, Groupon's what you want. And a lot of farms will use Groupon as a kickstart in that interim as they're building their own organic kind of marketing efforts. Groupon is, I didn't use a quote from what they do, but they handle the marketing, the scheduling, and even collect the money for you for tours. That's the upside. So they'll do it all. The downside is they want 50% off your retail tour price, and then they take 50%. So you're going to want to set your retail tour price, or they take 25%, ultimately 25% of the retail price. So you're going to want to kick your tour price up, if you're doing agritourism, for example, up higher so that you end up getting what you want to get, and they get something too. But yeah, several farms do over $50K a year in sales driven by Groupon. Now, you're going to hear a lot about how much money you can make in agritourism. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is the most important part of most small farms in any industry right now, from cattle to alpaca. Tremendous opportunities there, especially post-pandemic. But what people don't really talk about, and they underestimate a little bit, is the literal engine of animal sales and product sales that result from agritourism. It's a constant stream of leads and sales opportunities. It's a numbers game, and you've got a high quantity of high potential prospects literally rolling through your farm. People that are interested in the alpaca lifestyle, interested in the small farm lifestyle. So you really cannot underestimate, and I can't impress enough, how important agritourism can be for marketing anything. And that's why even if you don't want to do agritourism, man, find a way to get in somehow, because if you want to sell more animals, if you want to sell more product, if you want more people coming through your store, whatever that is, could be your farm, could be your farm store, whatever, man, agritourism it's a gold mine. It's the way to make it happen. So let's talk about it. Traffic, like I said, traffic on the farm creates leads. On average, 1 in 4 visitors on our farm will spend $50 to $100 in the farm store. 1 in 10 to 20 will be interested in purchasing alpacas at some point. And this is an older article, but California had there was an article out a couple years ago. California has 700 farms that average $50K a year doing agritourism. So how do you do it? There's some tips. And we've got there's an agritourism seminar, I think, going on tomorrow. And then I'll be talking about agritourism Sunday. So we'll dig in deep on it. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but you can use an automated online reservation system, which is phenomenal. Highly recommended. I know BreedBooks has one, Square has one. Those things can automate the whole system. Alternatively, you can just have open hours and let people pay as they arrive, and I've seen that work very successfully as well. Whether pre-scheduled or purchased online, have your software automatically, this is so important, automatically after the tour send an email requesting a review on TripAdvisor, Google, or Facebook. And as your TripAdvisor gets to number 1, you can flip it to Facebook. And as your Facebook does really well, you can flip it to Google, that little link that you include. But it'll be something like, thank you for visiting our little slice of heaven. Help us get the word out by writing a review here, kind of thing. And people will. I mean, you'd be shocked at how many people will. And what you'll do is let's say on a given weekend you have 12 to 50 people come through your farm for agritourism on a given weekend, which is very easy. That's kind of on the low end. That's if you're metering it and throttling it back. You have the potential to get, 10 to 30 reviews every weekend, which is insane. So the review systems, the email is going to be phenomenal. And let them see a working alpaca farm and tell them what you know. So we're going to talk about this more in agritourism, but a lot of people think, I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not Kathy Clay. I don't know all the things. They're thinking, I'm just little old me. But guess what? These people coming on your farm don't know anything. So everything you tell them is an epiphany. And for the longest time, for the last 4 years, my kids ran our tours, and people loved it. They just ate that stuff up, especially because the kids were so knowledgeable about alpacas. So definitely don't be shy. Just tell them what you know, and let them see a real working farm. And that marketing cost is free. So then social media. For a lot of us that don't have hordes of tourists coming through, we don't have visitors, we're not getting the TripAdvisor crowd, and maybe a little bit less of the Groupon crowd. You're going to go for the locals, right, for your agritourism or for your marketing. Social media is the way to market. So whether you're marketing agritourism products or animals, this is by far the most effective way to hit those crowds. And the way you do it is use these boosted posts. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let's first talk about why social media is one of the best ways to target people. These guys that built these platforms allow you to target very specific types of people with very specific interests. So you can go after specifically 30 to 60, looking to get the people that are either want a small farm, like a family farm, or a retiree about to retire, looking for something to do when they get out of the workforce, like Dan Hilty over here, right? And so you want to target those demographics, and you can do it with such a precise instrument. I mean, with social media marketing, I will target, for example, those kinds of ages. I ran a locally targeted boosted post on a 60-mile radius for people who had an interest in animals and vacation. And that was when we were selling tours. And it exploded. For $3 a day, it was filling up every tourism slot we had. So it was $3 a day. And we're selling these things for $50 each. And then they're spending another $100 in the farm store. I mean, it was a no-brainer. So boosted posts are incredibly cheap. It's the best way to really reach a local targeted demographic. Kids are more into Instagram. The cool thing is, if you boost a post on Facebook, it will hit Instagram too. So you're going to get the older people like us that are more on Facebook, and the younger people that love Instagram. And now a lot of people are going to talk about TikTok and all these other things. The reality is that's not your demographic. My kids aren't out buying alpacas. You want to hit the people that have the money. They're going to come to your farm. So focus on the best ROI channels. And the marketing costs there, I said, for example, $30 a month, you could kill it for $30 a month. Now, let's say that you don't want to have tours. You're dead set against it. Your wife doesn't want any strangers on the farm. You don't want them to see the pot crop growing out back. I don't know. Whatever the story is, social media is still your thing. What you do then is you're going to run, this is an agritourism ad that we had. I gave you like a sample. So I took a picture of my phone. During a tour one time, my wife Melissa was holding an alpaca, cria, and it literally hugged her around the neck. And I just happened to be standing in the right place to go snap, and I got a picture. And you want to be ready because you never know when that picture's coming, right? And so we use that for our agritourism ad. It says, when you're on an alpaca tour and one of the cria decides to hug you like a baby, the experience of a lifetime, learn more and schedule your tour with a link. That's simple. That ad, oh gosh, let's see. It says for this 50 days that we ran it, we spent $155, which is about $3 a day, and we reached 11,000 people that were interested in alpacas and vacation. 3716 engagements, and you can see some of the 229 people loved it, 773 people liked it, and 70 comments, and 65 shares, and all of our tours were booked. Very, very effective. So that ran for 2 months, almost 2 months, and the first 3 tours on the first day paid for that ad. Now, if you're selling animals nationwide, here's an ad we did, social media marketing. We broadened the region on this one a little bit. See, actually, does it say here? I'm not sure. But you can do ads to actually boost your, specifically targeting alpaca herd sires and or show animals. And I mean, you have the ability to hit demographics anywhere in the nation. Like this one, I think we ran it in the Southeast or on the East Coast, that kind of thing, because we're down in Georgia. But if you're out in California or Arizona, you know, you can target your region specifically, so you're not wasting clicks outside your region, but by people that are close enough to come look at the animal. And those are the kinds of super effective ways you can use social media and do some marketing. All right. Any questions so far? I know I've been moving quickly. We got a lot to cover. I want to make sure we hit everything. But social media marketing, like I said, $30 a month. Keep these numbers in mind. We're going to cover it again at the end. Number 7, the AOA EPD program. This one to me is a gold mine because there's so many people. First of all, marketing costs free, right? But there's so many people that really, really watch these EPDs. And so it's kind of like Google. If you're not in there, you don't exist. If there's people out there, and there are people looking for all kinds of traits and combinations of traits, and if you're not in the database, when they go do their searches, your farm doesn't exist. Even whether you're at the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter where the animals are. People are sometimes looking for a certain bloodline in a certain color, in a certain age range or price range. And you don't have to have the best EPDs. For example, I was one time trying to play, I had a herd sire that had created an Appaloosa that was sold to Europe that was really cool looking, and like the foundation animal for this farm over there. And it was one of these really phenomenal looking Korea, and I thought, man, it'd be kind of cool to do that again. So just for fun, I want to try to recreate it. So I found the mom, and I was looking, and she didn't have great EPDs, but I didn't care. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking to recreate a scenario. And that happens over, and we get calls for animals all the time that you wouldn't expect because they're looking for outlier in a certain trait that improves their animal. It's not necessarily about being the best in the industry. It's about improving what they've got. So you got to be in the EPDs. If you're not, what's the old adage? You can't win if you don't play, right? You got to be in the EPDs. So like I said, people are purchasing and selling alpacas found through EPD searches, and they're selling for good prices. A quick story, I remember pre-COVID, so this would have been 2019 probably, there were a couple animals that I was talking to different owners, and I was finding them through EPDs, and I said, well, man, you just bought so-and-so, and they laughed and said, yeah, we bought them sight unseen based on the EPDs. I mean, that's the thing. People are looking at pictures, they're looking at EPDs, and they're buying animals sight unseen. And I can name names, but I'm not going to do that because that wouldn't be nice. So let's see. Even if your animal's EPDs aren't what you like, people they're looking for what you've got. Yeah, and here, this is a super important point. A lot of people shop based on region. They want to go drive and touch the animals. They want to put their hands on them. They want to see them. They want to see what they're buying. So they don't care about the EPDs out west. They could care less, like if they're on the East Coast. They want animals to breed to or to purchase that are close to them, some of them within their state. Some people are buying within a state. And they're looking for the best traits or package of traits, I guess, in a given region. And so again, you don't need to say, well, I'm not going to make mine public unless I'm number one. That's not what it's about. You just want to be great in your region, or you want to have the right combination of traits in your region, or whatever. You don't know what other people are looking for. And somebody's looking for every animal on your farm. I promise you that. Somebody wants every one of the animals on your farm. And like over the last 2 years, I think we sold around 50 animals. I don't have 50 animals on my farm. We sold every one I wanted to get rid of. And then we started sending leads out to other farms, and we've heard reports back on the sales from some of those. And it is absolutely insane how much alpaca buying is going on right now and how much activity there is in the industry, certainly in the Southeast. So definitely do everything you can to be in all of these different marketing channels, and consider EPDs not just to be a tool, but also a free marketing channel. So yeah, look at this last one. Having your breeder ID show up in the search results for an older gray female with high curvature is good marketing. People are going to see it. They're going to see your breeder ID. They're going to know you've got grays. It may lead to someone visiting your website to see what else you might have available, even if they didn't want that particular animal. All right, so number 8 in the practical marketing toolbox is make sure and join every association you can in your region. You want to be in the National Association. You want to be listed in that directory. You want to be seen at shows like this. You want to be in your regional association for multiple reasons. There's a technical SEO reason we can get into, but that's kind of a little bit over what we're talking about here, because you want to get links from every authority in your industry. So definitely being in the local affiliate is phenomenal for helping you show up in Google search results. But then there's a lot of local people, and it has to do with third-party confirmation and some other technical marketing things. But what they're going to do is they're going to look and say, who's serious about alpacas? I want to buy from somebody who's serious. I want to be mentored by somebody who lives this stuff and breathes it, and they're involved in everything. I don't want to go to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, because I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to be good myself. And so they're going to check and vet you. And part of how people vet others online these days is seeing what associations they're in. So they're going to go to the National Association. They're going to go to the local association. They may even go to the Better Business Bureau. Who knows? But they're going to check everything and make sure that that you're in there. So yeah, you want to make sure and join, and make sure people can find you. If they don't see your farm listed, they'll assume you're not a serious breeder. So important tips. Having the link from those associations, like I said, will give you a little bit of juice or promotion effect in Google and other search engines. And the networking opportunities and visibility in the community of alpaca owners is critical. Many alpacas are sold to existing farms. There are people like Dan Hilty that go around the country buying up all kinds of animals. So the marketing cost on this is $100 a year on average for a local, and $15 a year on AOAs. That's current. I didn't check before the show.
It won't be as of December 1st.
Okay.
It is right now.
Yes, ma'am. It is right now. Awesome. So keep track of these numbers. We're intentional on that. Okay. So number 9, create events just to list them. And I kind of mentioned that earlier, but this is another one of those things that is a super powerful technique, especially for SEO, but also in getting interest and having people look at your farm. You know, you hear all press is good press. It's a similar kind of concept. But for example, AOA will list your events free, and those events show up on the homepage, or at least they used to if that hasn't changed. And they show up on the homepage. Believe it or not, that is the most powerful link you can get as an alpaca owner to your website. If you list an event for free in AOA, they will put a link on their homepage to your website, and it used to be called PageRank. They call it something else now, but the knock-on benefit to your site is that Google sees you as super authority. If AOA will link to you from their homepage, then man, this must be important. And Google will say, I got to tell people about it. So having that link from that event can be phenomenal. And what you really want to do, a little hack or trick, is come up with an event every month to post there, so you've always got a link on the AOA homepage, and you'll be top of the ranks in your region for a long time. So special events and using tips like that are super effective Alpaca Culture lists events. Different marketplaces will list them. Facebook, community boards, all of those. Anywhere you have an event, you want to get it listed. You're going to get links. You're going to get eyeballs on it. People are going to be reminded that you sell alpacas and that you are so serious about it because you got all these great events going on all the time. And so then you will be the one they come to when they want to buy alpacas. As an example, we used to do an alpaca pre-COVID, an Alpaca 101 seminar at my property there in North Georgia mountains, and it would sell out every time we did it. Every seat in the house would be filled up because people want to learn about alpacas. And there's a group of us that would all give a 1-hour spiel, just talking about what we know. We had slides, but really at the end of the day, it's just the stuff we all know. But to these people, it was brand new, and they were so impressed. And every seminar resulted in people that wanted to come buy alpacas from us and made a purchase at some future point in time, usually within a year, usually within 12 months. There's a couple we're still in touch with. There's some that we didn't have any alpacas available at the time, so we sent them to another farm. But that's a surefire way to sell animals, is host these Alpaca 101 tours and just do the best you can. So people are looking, and that's the thing. They want things to do that are different and that are interesting, and they want to, it's kind of like a tour plus. They get to come out to your farm. They get to see the alpacas. You give them the obligatory selfie, because that's what they really want. They want a selfie with the alpaca, so all their Instagram friends are jealous because they got the coolest photo that weekend. And then they get to learn a bunch about alpacas and figure out whether they can do it or not. And that's kind of their rationale. But then having the links is phenomenal. Marketing cost is free. Now, these are just 10 things. Anybody could do these 10 things without a whole lot of time, without a whole lot of money. So let's look at number 10, rack cards. Now, we're talking about practical marketing in a digital world. So why rack cards? Well, I'm going to take you back to Fiverr. You can find a designer on Fiverr. And I've used that before. I had a freelance designer design our rack cards, and I paid him $100, or him or her, and they did fantastic. And then I took the file that they sent, and then 2 revisions. So the first one wasn't what I wanted, and I said, no, I need you to change this. And they said, oh, okay, I can change that. So they changed it. And then they sent it back, and I said, that's fantastic. And they said, thank you, and they cashed the check, and all was good. Then I uploaded that file to uprinting.com for $74, double-sided, 200 rack cards. You can use those rack cards at local venues where you might have people that want to see your farm. We've got a timeshare nearby that we put our rack cards at. You can give them to people that buy things in your farm store, shove them in the bag, and they'll put it on their fridge with a little magnet like we used to do a lot. And they'll think, man, one day I'm going to own alpacas, and I want my farm to look just like that. So definitely use rack cards. Total marketing cost on that is $174. Okay? So we're still, you notice, these numbers add up, don't they? But we're still at a reasonable rate. So total cost for all 10 ideas that we're talking about today, $1,400 a year. Now, a year. How much is that a month, Jay? Well, look, I'm glad you asked. It's $117 a month, or $3.93 a day. That's COVID math, so don't check my math, but $3.93 a day is less than a venti mocha at Starbucks. So for less than the cost of a cup of coffee every day, you do all 10 of these, and you will have your wife or partner or friend or what have you will be saying the same thing my wife was saying to me as she cried over a cup of coffee one day. So please turn it off. Please stop. I'm tired. So, 3 tours a month at $50 each more than covers the cost. However, the likely return on investment will be much higher, 10, 20, 50 times, depending on animal sales. So in the last 5 months of tours before COVID, when we turned them off, we sold over $30K in tours and products and over $20K in alpacas and breedings, mainly just working on the weekends. Didn't do anything during the week. I mean, we've got kids. We're busy. We've got businesses and a life. So this is a weekend thing. And my wife would say I didn't participate enough, if you ask her. But I dispute that report. Over the last 2 years, though, even including COVID, like I said, we've sold 50 animals. Sold everything I wanted to move off our farm, and then moved all the animals off other farms around us where we were sending them leads. So, and that was without trying. We turned off all the pay stuff. This was just that flywheel that doesn't stop. And even though on my answering machine at home, it says we are closed due to COVID, even now, because we're not ready to reopen quite yet. We're looking to open in the next month. But up until now, it's been closed. And the website, I removed the tour, and I wrote in big letters, not currently open for tours. Even though we do all that, I still get 2 to 10 emails and phone calls every week of people saying, I know your website says you don't do tours, and I know your voicemail says you don't do tours, but can I please come do a tour? And I mean, it's wild. So once you get this flywheel turning, the inertia is just unstoppable. And it's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And you're going to find that the amount of effort you have to expend to keep it going becomes less and less and less and less and less over time. So is there anybody in here that thinks for the cost of a cup of coffee every day, they could market their alpaca farm? Given these tips. I'm going to give you the slides, right? Anybody? Who's going to go home and actually do this? Use any of these tips? Yeah? Okay. All right. Look, I'm serious. I want to keep up with you and see how things go, because I want to help you to succeed, because it's so easy and it's so fun. And I know it's new, and I know it's some things that we've not heard of or done before, but it is so easy once you get into it. So a couple of bonus tips. Bonus number 1, focus on local SEO. Most of your customers are going to be local. You can purchase a Moz Local account for $129 a year, and you just Google Moz Local. You type in your farm info, and it will go into all the business directories all over the U.S. and keep you up to date at all times. It also includes reputation management. So on social media or any of these kind of feedback or review sites, if somebody talks about your farm, it will highlight to you and let you respond through one dashboard. That's what's called reputation management. It does all that for $129 a year. That's a whale of a deal, and it's super cool. Bonus number 2 is work on your actual Google local listing. So every business, every website is going to have a Google local listing, and it's free from Google, and it lets you log in, and you can do things like set your hours, put pictures, talk about your farm and what you do. People will review you through this Google local listing. Also, the marketplace we were talking about earlier, the new one coming out, Breed Books, is going to have the ability for people to review you as well. Any of these kind of review things are phenomenal because they give people confidence in what you're offering, in your farm, in your tour, in your animals. So reviews are your friends. You want to solicit as many controlled reviews as you can to get started. And then it's, again, like the flywheel. Everybody else will just kind of jump in and it'll happen. But you got to keep asking for reviews. Intentionally source the right review pool that you want to build at any given time based on your marketing goals, and focus on TripAdvisor or Facebook or Google and build those reviews. And one thing neat about Google Local is that your Google Local listing will actually help your search engine rankings as well. So it has all kinds of positive feedback that will help you do your marketing and everything else. And we got a couple of minutes left, so do we have any questions? I know I've moved quickly through some of this, but yes. So what I'm going to do, we're going to get a sheet of paper over here and put a pencil down and write your email on it. And everybody that puts their email on that paper, I will send you the slides before the night is out. I'll go back to my hotel room tonight and forward them to you. Absolutely. Any other questions? And the cool thing is, when I email you the slides, you're going to have my email, and so you can ask any questions, feedback, follow up, and all that kind of stuff. But the goal of this is really to make sure that this stuff works and you're very successful. And that, I mean, the reality of it is, no one of us can even think about supporting the entire local potential of alpacas in our in every community nationwide, right? So it's not like we compete with each other. We want to help each other. And I would love to see everybody do well, and by you doing well, we all do well. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going to reiterate.
Please.
I was just personally looking on, I use TripAdvisor all the time to plan trips.
Yes. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm supposed to. That's okay.
I'm pretty loud. I'm pretty loud, so y'all can hear me. But my husband and I were looking for just a quick getaway to Idaho. And so I used TripAdvisor, and I went on to look at Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and what to do. And the number one thing to do there was an alpaca farm. Of course, being an AOA employee, I was quite excited. But, you know, it's true. It really, those sites do work. So thank you for mentioning that.
And I'll tell you, similarly, where we are, you know, we're number one, of course, and because, but the cool thing is, people that come to our farm, they'll tell us, and we live in the mountains, the North Georgia mountains. They come up there to go trout fishing, you know, fly fishing, and lakes and hikes, and to get away and see the leaves in the fall and all that kind of fun stuff. They come out of Atlanta, they drive 2 hours north to the mountains, and they just storm our region. And when they come out to the farm, 201, we always say, how'd you hear about us? And they'll say, oh, I was on TripAdvisor, and they'll kind of complain. The only thing to do up here is go see the alpacas or hike. It's like, so everybody wants to hike, and then when they're tired of hiking, they go see the alpacas. And that's become like a thing up where we are.
I just want to add another venue. You're doing Harvest Coasts.
Yes,
Are you familiar with that?
I am.
It's interesting now that we're in the season in Massachusetts, we have nobody coming.
Mm.
But late fall and early winter, we probably have about 30, 40 people so far that have stayed with us. They stayed for free, but they're expected to compensate in some form. And it's been anywhere from $20 in purchase up to over $300.
Absolutely.
It's all people that would never find your farm any other way.
So Harvest Host is a really neat thing. It's kind of a take on Airbnb, but people go around and they find local farms and places like that where they can pull in and bring a camper, RV, and they stay at your place, and you get compensated in some way. I was talking to Randy Coleman about that recently, and he's doing fabulously well with that. So it's kind of a new and up and coming form of agritourism that is great at adding another revenue stream, which is what it's all about, multiple revenue streams. So for example, let's say you do 50K plus on tours, and then you're selling between 20, 30, 50K on animals and product sales. You're making 100K a year on your farm. Would anybody be happy making 100K a year on their alpaca farm? Would that pay the feed bill and hay nowadays, hopefully? So that's the goal. The goal is that everybody has a profitable farm, that it's fun, that we're educating the public about alpacas, and so while we're having fun doing what we love to do, we're getting paid. Because they say if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, right? All right, well, if there's no other questions, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate everybody paying attention and learning. And as I said, I will be available for as long as you need me. Let me know. Just email me, and we'll get you the slides today. And good luck. Oh, and there's one more. Yes. Thank you.